Lesego, thank you so much for your time. I mean, as a black child myself, I once had this conversation with my aunt, and the whole debate about cremation being a little bit cheaper than the ordinary funeral, and she said, absolutely not. That's not our culture. Where are you going to come visit me? So how do you bring this conversation as a young black person to your family to say, there's no need to go all fancy?
I think it starts with what we perceive as dignity as a society. I mean, I think one thing that we've done, I was looking at the Oxford Dictionary, and dignity is not what we perceive it. It's not flashy, it's not loud. It's rather a calm event that is respected. And I think it's bringing it back to, because we talk about these things now, Masego, and we say, your mom wants it to be fleshy, but is it cultural? Is that where we come from? I've had a conversation with my mom, and I was trying to understand, back in the days, how was it done? It wasn't done this way. It was done differently. The community participated, as a matter of fact, so they would bring in something throughout the week so that they can feed the mourning family. And then on the day that you get buried, it was a simple tent, a simple coffin, but also followed by simple food. So you wouldn't find the salads that we currently find. You wouldn't find the bottled water with faces on them that we currently find. So I think it's going back to our roots to say, where do we come from as a society? And what has changed, and what has informed where we are now?
And Lesego, I mean, I think what's also important is what you mentioned in that piece that you wrote as Finmark about, whether you really need insurance for a funeral, and maybe rather even open a savings account. I don't know if you know, FNB has your 32-day savings account, 7-day savings account, for instance. Is it better to go that route than to try and find, somebody who will pay R1 million when you die?
So, Masego, I think for us, it's not even about the savings account. A lot of people do not have enough to save. I think it's rather about, what are your priorities? Are you going to forego making sure that your children can go to school after you are dead, versus you having this fleshy funeral, right? So you spend 149 Rand per month to ensure that you've got a funeral cover, to cover this funeral that you will be having when you die, but also, I guess, it covers everyone else in your family. But what we do not do is then ensure that we have enough for when we are dead, but for our family to continue living when we are dead. So yes, a life cover is important, but what we're talking about here is not a life cover, it's a funeral cover. It's the fact that people will have multiple funerals, but they do not take up any other form of cover. But life events are diverse in nature. You don't just die, right? There are other things. You may lose your income. You may have health issues. But from the data that we have, what we notice is that although over 50% of the population will take a funeral cover, only about 9% will have only about 12% will have a life cover, and only about 9% will have health insurance. So it's trying to understand what's driving this notion. Do we really have to have these fleshy funerals over our day-to-day lives that we have to take care of?
All right, and just very quickly, I'm sorry, before I let you go, and I need the answer to be very short. In terms of, for instance, life insurance versus funeral insurance, which one is better? Which one should we concentrate on to make sure that your kids are able to go to school, as you say, after you die?
It's life. What you pay for, you will get much more from a life cover versus what you pay for a funeral cover. So it's life.
All right. Thank you very much, Lesego Mashigo, for your time. She is from Finmark Trust.